Okay, this is the end of the roof section, in this particular case the rear roof section of the camper, and this is where the issue with the water is. When you get a little bit of small amount of water, it just trickles down, trickle, and the surface tension holds on, so then it runs down here, across this seal, and then down the back of the camper. What I did on the other one we had, I put a piece of aluminium angle right across the back here. This is just a scrap to show you. So that'll get attached, full length of that'll be attached all the way across the back and sealed. So any water that comes down then has to run over this, and because there's a drop off there, it can't run back uphill. So it then drops off and misses the seal, and it's down here somewhere. And yeah, you also need to make sure that this seal here on the old one had deteriorated, where the fibres that are in there were exposed. That's where the water was wicking in and then dripping off inside somewhere. So I actually resealed that as well, the whole seal, cleaned it all up, resealed it with T-Rex, yeah, and that stopped the leak. But I've also heard people say that these rivets here have caused problems as well, so I'm going to be going around with these ones. But they don't even use a blind, like a sealed rivet, so they just put a dab of seal on the inside end. I don't know if there's any sealant inside the holes, but I'm going to fill the hole on the end and also put a bit of sealant around every one of those rivets. So I'm absolutely paranoid about water getting inside. With the last camper, I noticed when the angle only came to the end of the thing like that, the water still, some of the water still used to trickle down and run down the side here. So what I'm trying on this one is this little extension piece, which I've just made up. It'll be all screwed, it's screwed on, but it'll be all sealed, of course. And I'm going to extend this one out here. Hopefully, any water that comes in, I can't do this on my own. Hopefully the water runs down, will trickle down here, then trickle down there, and drop off as well. That's the theory. Don't know if it's going to work yet, but hopefully it will. In case you're wondering, the colours on the aluminium is just a texture. You draw on the aluminium, makes it easy to see your marks, that's all. When you drill a hole through a soft material like aluminium, you always get a burr on the hole. Now you need to remove these burrs. I don't know how I'm going to do this one-handed. You just need a larger diameter drill bit, just something that'll fit in the end of the hole. And you basically, it's a lot easier when you use both hands. I'm actually holding this in my leg. And you just take that burr off, and you've got to do it on the inside as well. That's all it takes. You also need to, when you've drilled the holes in the actual, where the screw goes into, you need to, it always raises a little bit of a burr on there as well, so you just need to do the same thing on all your holes. You don't want any burrs because you want this aluminium to sit up there really flush. So all I've done here to hold this in place is I've just got a bit of scrap aluminium and I've got it clamped to the one that's going on. You can see it's all loose. The idea is you just have to push that down onto there like that with your hand, and it makes it flush. The other thing I've been doing too to line the holes up is I use the drill, the clearance drill that I've already pre-drilled in the angle. This is the clearance drill, so the screw fits straight through this. So to make sure I get them in the right spot, I use the clearance drill and just put it in the hole on the drilling machine, obviously, and just turn it enough. I don't know if you can see this or not, that it centres the hole that you want to drill in the frame. So you don't drill all the way through this one because you won't put the screw in. So then once I've done that, I then change the drill to the correct size to drill for the screw to go into. So this is the first angle screwed on temporarily. I've still got a round this corner off, a nice neat radius in that corner. And then under here, I'm going to cut that piece there back as well. And then it'll all need to be cleaned up and stuck on with the adhesive. So the rear is now done except for cleaning up and put the adhesive on. I don't know if these little extensions are going to work. I hope so. I'm going to actually extend this piece of sealant down across there, so hopefully any water that comes down here will then run off down over the side. But if it doesn't work, it's not that difficult to just take it off and cut this off short again, so we'll see how it goes. The screws that I'm using, just stainless steel self-tappers. And the diameter of the threaded section is just over 4 millimeters, and they're approximately 9 millimeters long. These little screws, the clearance hole is 11/64 of an inch, which is about 4.3 millimeters. The screws themselves are 4 millimeters in diameter, and because of the thickness of the panel that they're screwing into, you have to have a fairly large diameter hole to screw the screw into. So I've been using a 3.5 millimeter. So it doesn't leave a lot. So when you're screwing the screws in, don't be tempted to use a battery drill or a battery impact driver, because there's a very good chance you'll strip the thread out of the housing, and you really don't want that. So just do them by hand. They're only going to be tightened up once you put the adhesive sealant on. Once it cures, you can pull the screw out, and the thing's never going to come off. So it doesn't matter that it's not that particularly strong in holding it in there. So I'm almost ready to start using the sealant adhesive on these. As you can see, I've masked both sides. It's easy to mask this one up if you just attach it temporarily, just to hold it. And there's not much of because you're not going to have a lot coming out. But it's a lot easier to clean up if you have the masking tape. You peel the tape off, wipe all the excess off first, and peel the tape off. This stuff really sticks. I've still got to put the little bits in there, but I'll actually stick these bits on first, and I'll put those on and adjust them. This is a product I'm going to be using. This is the flexible one, but the standard T-Rex would be fine on this application as well. The only reason I'm using this is because I've got a cartridge in grey. So I'll just find it, put the adhesive on. You don't need a lot, you're only trying to seal it along the top. And now I'm going to screw it on. I'll screw it on first. Once it's in place, I'll then take each screw out one at a time, put a bit of sealant around them, screw them back in. So this is the rear done. I've just got to extend this little piece here down to there, which is, you can see I've got that all masked up in preparation. As I expected, the hardest part was putting that little bit extra sealant in there and blending it in with the other. It's the best I could do. Now the solvent to clean up the T-Rex, they say they've got their own stuff, but they also say white spirit, which I believe is this stuff. You can buy, it's pretty cheap these days actually. I think you can buy 5 litres for about $30 online. It's just 100% isopropanol. You need to also have lots of pre-cut clean rags, because you use lots of them. That's about 100 by 110 or whatever it works out at. You go through a lot of them and you will also need a few pairs of gloves. You don't want this stuff on your hands. Another thing to remember when you're using rags with any sort of solvent, flammable solvent, is don't screw the rag up and throw it in the bin while it's still wet, because you can get spontaneous combustion, particularly if you're using acetone. So the idea is to chuck them on the floor, spread them out, let them dry, or if you have to, submerge them in a bucket of water until it all evaporates. I cut out a little template out of some cardboard, and just the little notch, you can see on my finger there. And I'll use that to do the front extensions on there, and it didn't turn out too bad. A lot better than my template at the rear, so I think the ones at the rear, when they finally cured, I might cut them off and redo them. And it's working like a charm. Exactly as I wanted it to work. Looks like we're still getting a bit of water running down here, down there, so it's still dripping off down here, so I might put a run of the bloody sealant along here to make the stuff drop off down here.